Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Monday, the 14th of April. Tax drain tomorrow, April 15th. There was a tax drain on Friday of about 24 billion. I'm going to go with a bullish reaction in the market with with the tax drain. I understand tax drains drain the balances of the non-government sector, of us, of our accounts. So that's a drain. I mean, there's less money. The balances are reduced. I get it. That's where the saying, sell in May and go away. You probably heard that. It's an old Wall Street saying. Is because like mid-April, balances get drained, and that's tough for the market. And we're in, a defensive. The market is on the defensive. But I think these drains, from what I've been noticing, is that these drains have been eliciting or triggering a positive reaction. I think that has something to do, I've been talking to you guys about the high level of reserve balances, the problem that we have with the debt ceiling, where Treasury is really not able to effectively bring reserve balances down. And I think the tax drain is going to be helpful in that regard. I don't think it's going to be, I think it'll be something short-term, of a short-term nature in terms of the impact on the market. And I'm not 100% sure, but I would go with a positive reaction tomorrow on the tax drain. And don't forget, there's still an IRS tax extension for hurricane impacted, that's, I fall in that category. That's May 1st. So this April 15th filing, that doesn't apply to everybody as it usually does. There's an extension until May 1st. So I think that's when the negative reaction is going to come. I think the negative reaction is going to come in May. I think right now, I think we're going to get a positive reaction. The other thing that I was talking about last week, I think I mentioned it on Friday, was the fact that neutrals, if you look at the AAII weekly survey, sentiment survey, which I do every week, and I keep a database on the numbers and stuff like that, neutrals are at a 17-year low. I mentioned that in the video last week. I mean, everybody's in. And bearish sentiment is like 100% over the historical average. I mean, it's double the historical average. So you could tell where everybody's in. Everybody's in on the bear side. Bulls are very, very low. It's something like, 50, 60% below the historical average, something like that. So there's no neutrals. They're all committed. And to me, that's like potential energy. That's like gunpowder sitting there in a keg, waiting to get blown up. I mean, they're all positioned, and they're all positioned in a bearish way. They're either out of the market or they're short. And so I'm not saying the big picture is constructive. I mean, we do have the tariffs. There's some stuff in the fiscal flows which I've been mentioning or alluding to, which have caught my attention and are potentially problematic or a reason for concern. So I can't get super bullish. I will tell you that the leading flows are still very, very strong. There's no evidence of Doge cuts. I'll tell you one thing, and I think I mentioned this last week, when it was reported that the March deficit, government deficit for March, was like the smallest in like 2 years or something like that. And Elon Musk was cheering and he put out a comment on X saying, oh, that's Doge, we're getting some progress. Well, actually, the reason for that was that the first of the month payments, that's the big payments day that the government sends out, Medicare, Medicaid, military pay, veterans benefits, all these things. You usually have like 100, 120, 130 billion leading flow on the first of the month. The first of the month in March was on a Saturday, so all those payments went out in April. And that's how come the deficit was smaller in March. If you would add, I think it was like 124 billion. If you added that in, we would have had something like a 207 billion deficit as opposed to like an 80 something billion deficit. So like he totally missed this, and he's saying, oh, this is because of Doge. No, it's not because of Doge. There's been the only thing that I could maybe point to, which I see in the numbers, and that's been the Department of Education, which I think Trump canceled or shut down by executive order. That is a clear, I see the chart every week, week after week, just dropping. So I think, yeah, that's one thing. If I was going to speculate and say, has Doge had any effect whatsoever, I would say, yeah, it's in the Department of Education. Other than that, leading flows just continue to go up, man. So that's a positive. Although I have to say that net transfers, that's plateaued a little bit. I mean, we're not seeing the acceleration that we have seen up until recently. And that's another thing that I'm just keeping an eye on. So anyway, like I said today, I sent out an email. There's not a lot to talk about right now. You got sentiment to think of. If you're wondering about the tariffs, with Trump, that could change on a dime. That could change by the hour. That could change by the day. One day it's full on. The next day it's partially on. The next day it's off. The next day it's back on. And there was a funny article in the New York Post talking about Donkey Face, because over the weekend, Donkey Face, and that's my nickname for Howard Lutnick, he looks like a donkey face to me. And I guess he was on one of the weekend shows, news shows, ABC, I don't know, something. And he was like, Trump, he took phones and computers off of the tariffs. There was like exceptions. He made exceptions. And then I guess Donkey Face said, well, there's no exceptions, or there's a partial exceptions, or the exceptions are temporary. And so there was an article in the New York Post saying, like, somebody's got to get a hold of this guy because he's a wrecking ball. Donkey Face is a wrecking ball. So I got my dibs. Who's going to go first out of the White House? Who's going to be first in Trump's cabinet to get the boot? I'm saying it's going to be Donkey Face. And the guy who has emerged as like the calm, level-headed dude, that's Bessent, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He seems to be out there every day doing damage control, and, he's got this way about him where he's like, everything's going to be okay. We got to calm down. Sometimes in situations like this that are very emotional and everybody's hyped up and there's panic everywhere, you need a guy to come in and, Trump's not that kind of personality. He's very aggressive. He's very strong. So like, even if he's trying to calm people down, it doesn't work on a lot of people because his tone, like I could deal with a guy like Trump because, I understand that kind of a personality. He's a New Yorker. But a lot of people can't. Like if he comes in and tries to calm everything down, he's got that very masculine, strong, aggressive tone. It doesn't work. But this guy, Bessent, he's a little bit, I don't know, more like, so he's been doing damage control. I got to give him credit. He wasn't a favorite of mine in the beginning. But I got to hand it to him. I think his calming statements and, kind of bringing everybody back down, focus, get a grip, get a hold of yourself. I mean, I think that's good what he's doing. I think definitely you need that. Doesn't mean like it's going to work out the way he's saying, but you need a cool, calm, collected voice right now. And he's been the guy. And Besson, I agree that Besson is like a wrecking ball. I'm baffled. I've said it before. I'm sorry, not Besson. Donkey Face. Donkey Face is a wrecking ball. And I got to say that I'm baffled. And I've said this already before. I'm baffled by this guy's status and his success on Wall Street. I've spoken about this guy. I spent my whole career on Wall Street as a member of 4 exchanges, trader down on the exchange, Never heard anybody talking about this guy. And if it was, just kind of in passing. And the fact that, he was running Cantor. I knew people at Cantor who were bond traders. So I don't know. I'm baffled by this guy, to be honest with you. Donkey face. I don't know. He looks like a donkey face to me. It just does. I don't know. All right, let's see what happens. I'm thinking we go positive. I think we got to get some of these neutrals back. I think you're going to see a period now where some of these individual investors come back to a neutral, kind of like a head scratching right now. I don't know where it's going. I thought it was going to go down some more. I was very scared. I jumped out. I talked to somebody this morning in my boxing gym who told me they put everything into cash. And these are not like professional traders or anything like that. These are just kind of like working people. Like an entrepreneur who has his own business, whatever. And so it was, that was like little anecdotal evidence there. So we'll see what happens. But I think this tax strain, the tax strain is going to be positive, at least for a little bit. Got to get the debt ceiling raised. Now Speaker Johnson, they're talking about getting his deal done sometime in May. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully it gets done, but it's been tough because there's a contingent of fiscal hawk Republicans in the House, and they want big cuts. And the House and the Senate, they're far apart. I mean, the House wants $1.5 trillion. The Senate wants $4 billion. I mean, that's a giant cavern in between those guys. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. Oh, yeah, let me just mention, and you probably saw this, that bond yields came down today. And hopefully that will continue. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye.